Now 6:30, call this meeting to order. First order of business, minutes from the previous meetings, November 19th and 20th, and December 11th. I think I'll take them separately. Were you three all here for November 19th? Yeah, you were. Okay. Made a motion to approve minutes from the 19th. Motion to approve November 19th. The second. Second. Any questions, corrections, statements? All in favor? Aye. The motion to approve December 11th. Motion to approve. Second. Any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Agenda item 3A, public comments. Any members of the public would like to speak to anything this evening?
Two things. The budget committee, I've been kind of painfully watching those videos, and I want to thank Andy, Patty, thank you very much. You guys have been doing a really great job kind of advocating and trying to keep it where it is. You know, it's going to be a tough battle ahead of us, but I just wanted to kind of encourage you guys to keep it where it is. Please don't give into the battering that we're taking, I guess is a better way to put it. One thing that I keep hearing them repeat over and over again is efficiencies and cuts. They want to see where our efficiencies are, where are our cuts. I just think maybe we approach that differently. Maybe highlight the items that our schools are going without and have been going without for a long time as our cuts and our efficiencies. You know, where we've held off on, say, one guidance counselor versus we really needed two, but we've been working with one and doing the best we can, but maybe not serving our kids the best we possibly can, and that's why we're asking for one, but really we could use two. Those kinds of things, and I know I don't need to really tell you guys that, because you guys know this, you live it every single day. One thing that kind of, and obviously it's personal to me, is the questioning of the school certified versus non-certified, and the numbers in the classrooms. I didn't know if, and I know Candy's probably going to touch on this when you guys talk about what was discussed, but I'm just thinking maybe breaking that out. Because I'm wondering, and I don't know personally, but I'm just wondering if some of those non-certified that they're referring to, or certified that they're referring to, are people who may not be a para in a classroom, that they may be in the behavior room, or they may be, you know, whatever those things are. I won't break that down completely for you guys. Like I said, you guys know better than I do. So that's all about the budget. The second thing was, I just had a quick question, and I know you guys can't answer the question, but just something that kind of maybe can be discussed at a later date. The social emotional learning, I know we were really heavy into that last year, and we haven't heard as much about it. I know you're constantly working on that, but we haven't heard a lot in the public about what year 2 looks like. But just if maybe something could be kind of put out there so people see that we're still working on it. And that's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Move on to agenda item 3B, agenda review.
Yes, we have 2 consent items and 2 donations.
Okay. Item 3C, get some donations.
Thank you. So I was contacted by mail by Bruce Dyke of Chichester, who has annually contributed $7,000 to our scholarship fund in the spring. Those are earmarked for 2 $3,500 each college education and technology scholarships for graduating seniors. So that money will be obviously headed towards 2 seniors with that articulated destination for a career path.
Get a motion to accept the donation.
Yeah.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Dyke, for us.
I do print the email that she sent me, so we can hold off. Okay. Think it was something for Jenny's lab, but
Okay.
I'd rather have her present
coming?
because I don't have it. As far as I know, I haven't heard it. She gets to go back to it.
We'll come back to it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, last time Amber brought the bus stop forward and you were lacking some information that she wasn't aware of. So since the original, that was the repeat request, and since the original request, there's another bus that's going by there that made it easy and convenient for that bus to stop. I think they pass at different times for whatever reason, and the part of the issue was the lack of the sidewalks being plowed in bad weather. A grandparent having to walk the child out and accidentally go out on the street in bad weather. That was the initial reason for the request, but Linda felt like, now with the pink bus and the yellow bus passing each other in 5 minutes, that it was, convenient for her to put that in place.
Go ahead.
What about the bus on the way home? Is it,
I think it's the same.
it'll be the same bus? Okay.
Others?
So just to be really clear, this is a bus that's already going by there on the correct side of the road. Linda has no traffic pattern concerns, stopping right around the corner or anything like that.
That's right.
Is this physically adding another stop on that road? We just stop on that road multiple times.
Yeah, I think the issue that made it more palpable was that it's a different bus, so it's not the same bus stop.
But there's a current bus stop.
That's correct.
That can
That's
use,
correct.
and we wouldn't have to add another stop on
That's
what is
correct.
already a busy Pembroke Street.
All of it?
Not yet, right?
I'm sorry.
I think we reversed. I can probably look it up and on my morning.
Well,
Yeah.
so, whatever color bus, won't be stopping,
Yellow
It-
bus.
does it stop there anyway?
So my next question is, the bus that currently goes through there now is on a multi-person bus stop.
Alright, so
And
they,
now
they,
this additional bus is going to be just pick up this one street.
okay,
Instead of
so
the
you're
student walking out
adding
to the
another
bus
stop. Gotcha.
That's my
On
understanding.
a different bus, but it is adding a stop.
Does establish a danger.
If we were giving away one for another, then,
This goes back to one of those general arguments where everyone wants a bus stop at the end of their driveway. And I think it's getting into that argument.
Part of the problem is that the bus coordinator recommended others that.
The second time around, she
Yeah.
did not recommend it with the other bus.
Right.
The second
but
time.
she
Yeah.
did
So
recommend
we need to approve it.
Okay, I just,
yeah, it changes everything now, you're actually adding an extra.
yeah, that's fine. And if the numbers work out correctly, it's a matter of maybe 3 months.
And I'm looking at that on a map right now, and as far as I can tell on this map, 359 to 353, there's not like a side street intersection in there or anything, it's literally close.
Come on with that. I guess we get down about that far apart.
And I know up in my end of town, folks walk a distance to get
And there's no sidewalk up there.
There's nothing.
Plowed, unplowed. Any other questions? Do you need to make a motion on this either way?
I make a motion that we approve the bus stop request.
Second? Any other questions, discussions? All in favor of adding bus stop? Opposed? Tonight.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Constance?
Yeah, you have a child rearing leave request.
Do you want to pick up a child query now, or if we want to have discussion on this, we'll have to announce public?
I think it's pretty
I'm okay with the way it is.
Okay.
straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Extra.
I mean, I read
didn't
through
know
it.
you had that. Good, you keep the option. Okay, I get a motion to approve child rearing.
Motion to approve.
Second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Primary election day. Patty wasn't here, and I think we jumped offside a little bit, so we need to come back and revisit this. Patty, what did we get wrong?
that you did anything wrong, just a couple of things I would point out. I understand there are concerns about primary day, and I think the administration shares those concerns. John and I have spoken several times about it, waiting for them to set the date, because it really is not safe to have an election with children in the building. As much as we try to separate off, it's really not safe. I know that there was some discussion about substituting a professional development day, but that is not going to work. We only have one left in March, and that's an SAU-wide day that's been planned, and we have a keynote speaker and all that stuff. So that we can't swap it for a teacher day. What we could do is cancel school completely, and then you would need to add it on to the end. Can't use it as a blizzard bag. It's not an emergency, so it can't be traded or used out in existing hours. The only possibility for that is if we get to the end of the school year, we've already used 3 blizzard bags, so we only have 2 left. We had one day at the beginning of the year already that wasn't a blizzard bag day. So potentially, if we get to, if we got to the end of the year and it was a horrible winter, in the past, the Department of Ed has granted not a waiver, but if you have enough instructional hours, there was a chance that you would have to make up days. That we won't know that until the end of the year. So right now we're at June 15th, I think. Yeah, 15th. So if you count the one that we already have to make up and you add on the primary day, it would bring you to the 17th.
That's detailed. At least because the scheduled last day of school was Monday, so that works out. The scheduled last day of school was Thursday or Friday, it would be harder.
When is graduation from? I know you guys,
What's that Saturday, the 6th?
watched it early this year. So you guys apply to the 15th when the end of the there we are.
Well, there's a new regulation that went in place last year that you don't have to do graduation once you set it.
Have we said it?
Yes. I think there were some, there's been in the past some really difficult issues with families coming from other states and already having plane tickets, so I think there's legislation put in place that allows you to do that once you set it.
So you would, no, never mind, no question. Good.
So, elections at TRS, we also cancel school for full school.
Cancel all trades.
It's purely on an instructional basis, it not necessarily has to do with anything with the professional development day.
As the current school day, you just cancel school.
Okay. So
You make it up to you.
you have to make, we don't have enough time really.
We're not on hours yet.
Okay.
If the CEA passes, we'll be on instructional hours, but right now we're on a calendar.
And that won't start till next year.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
Unless something changes in the spring.
The school,
17th, as of right now.
Wednesday.
When is primary?
The 9th.
About
Oh, it's
February.
11th.
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Also have local elections.
What's our March TV day?
Okay,
Right.
That's why we
That's
scheduled
why
it
she
that day.
does that.
So we covered that.
Now, what about the kids who go to school in Concord, at the Concord Technical Program?
They will still be allowed to go, they'll have to get themselves there.
Okay, so we won't provide that.
That's typical for any other day that we don't have the main school calendar. Sometimes we do.
Really?
Yeah.
Towns don't like.
That's why we're gonna be looking at that calendar for next year.
Well, we try to keep,
line up a little bit.
keep the Concord calendar line up as close as possible. Any other questions?
No?
I want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, set the meeting February 11th, a school day because of, the primary.
A second? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Should we get the notice out right away?
time for 4A board reports. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. So I just want to say I hope everyone had a good break and a good holiday. And in the Senate, right before break started, we began drafting our themes for Winter Carnival. We finally narrowed down that list, and we're going to be sending those out to advisories as soon as possible to start getting some votes and start really narrowing down our theme for Winter Carnival, which is Senate's biggest event of the year.
So what are we down to?
I can't say.
Okay.
As I talked about before, our Thanksgiving decorations were very well received. We're planning on doing another version of that with snowmen and snowflakes, the names of the students somewhere around the school, hopefully in the coming months with another good winter theme. And then in our next Senate meeting, which will be tomorrow, we'll be breaking up into our planning committees for Winter Carnival, such as our gym day committee, our week of activities committee, so those days like the talent show that we put on before Winter Carnival. And we're going to start the planning phase of that, because those portions of the Winter Carnival take a huge amount of time. And just getting back from break, and we're just getting into Winter Carnival, I will have much more specifics to give to you about Winter Carnival in the next coming meeting. So that's all I have to do.
Question for student rep?
Hi, John.
Thank you.
SAU board, tech board.
The exec board December meeting was canceled, and our next meeting has been, pushed back to January 23rd to accommodate the busy budget season in 5 different communities.
What's your name?
Okay, I got notes from a couple of meetings, so I'm going to skip through those real quick. Amber and I presented on 12/19. It was very well received as far as the layout and the details given this time, the format of the whole thing. Amber had a wonderful presentation put together. They got copies of our binder, they got copies of the tech impact sheet, they got copies of a PowerPoint presentation with some slides on each page, plenty of notes and things like that. And they were very appreciative of how that was all presented. There were a few questions that came out of that first initial meeting, which I think Amber had every one of them answered via email the very next day. And they confirmed that they received those answers. Patty and I attended on 2nd of January, and this one was less fun. So there are a pile of questions that I think Patty's already sent a couple of answers. The theme of the night, really, when it comes down to it, was that this budget is not passable, not recommendable, completely out of line, I would say, is how I felt they viewed it. The chair said that while we had done a good job of laying out the budget and what our wants, needs, and desires are, that the committee would like to see, if possible, a list of efficiencies. I did make the point that one of the biggest efficiencies being the closure of village school and the savings of millions of dollars of renovations that would have had to be done there will never show up on any of these books. Mr. Fleury recognized that as a truth. But they're asking for, a list of things that we do to save money. I find that to be a somewhat difficult thing to tackle, in some respects, because I think that all of our teacher, staff, administrators do that all the time in a million little ways, and to quantify things like that, I think is tough. If there's any way that we can pull together some sort of list by Thursday, that would be fantastic. There was discussion of possibly asking the principals to attend the next meeting, but we were going to discuss that with Patty a little more and see if that's even something that seems like a lot of information to pull together in just a few days. Mr. Fleury recommended that we take another look at the 1200 lines and see if maybe we were comfortable cutting a little bit from there and using some reserve money to pay for the special ed stuff instead, as the reserves are healthy at this point. And that line is a big one. And, you know, there were some other general questions as far as health insurance, computer replacements, and things like that, that I think we were able to answer fairly thoroughly. There was a question about what we do as far as just regular old old-fashioned boots to the ground fundraising. I did let them know that that's a typical part of like the middle school field trips and things like that. I think that's pretty much it. Patty, did I miss anything important?
I don't think so.
I'll say after the meeting, one of the committee members stayed after to chat with me. She works for the state lottery department and wanted to give me some information about how the casinos, gaming houses in the state work, which I was not aware of. Basically, if you're a nonprofit or 501c, you can register with these places and it's basically free money. I don't know if we have, I think the cheerleaders have done that before. I don't know if there are other organizations that would qualify or benefit from that, but worth looking at if we haven't. But again, the bottom line from the meeting was the budget committee finds this to be outlandish.
Questions for Amy?
So, let me get this straight. They want you to go fundraise to fund cheerleading, to fund basketball, to fund science, robotics, whatever, for all these things. So we can cut that money out of the budget, which we normally funded in the past. Is that?
I wouldn't say they said we should be doing that, but more inquired as to how much of that.
To see if we can reduce the budget by doing more.
More. There was other suggestions such as state offices where certain people work, apparently they take out their own trash, so there was talk about either getting rid of or reducing custodial staff again. I did impress on them as much as I possibly could that every position that we're talking about here are things that have been lost to cuts in the past, none of these are new things. I did kind of really push the appointment to the 4 kindergarten aides, as I've heard personally from some of the teachers down there that that's a big hardship. I think they kind of got that point. Brian Seaworth said after, he said, you know, you've made a good case for that, and so it might be that, you know, we do want to fund those 4 positions, but we try to take money from elsewhere to do it. Yeah.
They did ask for some sort of prioritized list. I'm not sure how we would go about that. I wanted to get some direction from the board first. If you're intending to ask us to make some cuts, then we can certainly, you know, prepare something that you ask, you know, like we've done in the past. But otherwise, it's difficult to know when you're not sure what their recommended budget's going to be yet. It's hard for us to come back and prioritize anything at this point.
What are people's thoughts? I mean, I think we obviously sent the budget forward, we were pretty adamant that it was probably not enough money, it probably should be more, but what are people's thoughts?
Oh,
Well, no, I'm kind of correlating to
what Gene has to say.
correlating to experience that we had earlier, during the CBA, and maybe moving forward.
We talked about this in the CBA, that you and I.
Yeah, so,
The difficulty of passing a aggressive budget, it is, I know it's needed, it's still could be viewed as aggressive because it's gonna have a significant impact plus a contract year, which always been challenging in past. I'm not suggesting one way or the other, I'm just saying it's a challenge.
to give people a raise on the back of kids doesn't make sense.
Great.
So, we as a board have to determine if this is viewed as an aggressive budget. Maybe we need to look at the revenue and maybe a historical examination. I mean, we haven't, I think, we're not asking for anything outlandish. We're asking for less than what we need. And to say that, well, because of the contract, we can't give our students what they need, I think is unacceptable. Furthermore, I was struck by comments at the budget committee meeting, by the chair, first of all, who wanted to ensure that, it sounded like she wanted to ensure that, we worked collaboratively, that she and others believed that, the credibility of the budget committee, may be at question because of the fact that in the past, we've brought together two different budgets, or the budgets that they have supported have not necessarily been supported by the community. So while they may speak for a segment of the community, I think the question is, do they speak for the community at large? And we don't know that until we bring this to a vote. I'm not willing to really go slicing into personnel or programs to fund the contract. And I'm not willing to not fund the contract.
Sure. I think it's important, I don't know how to get the message out, I just don't think the general public understands that revenue issue, that it wasn't, well, the mistake would lie in there and that we didn't tell the voters in time that we knew we weren't gonna get that tuition. So it's not that there was missing money, like we lost revenue, legitimately lost revenue from the tuition that we are not going to get back. So now to try to add back where we made those cuts to offset that revenue, it looks like a huge increase, but we're just trying to restore some of the things we lost because we lost revenue. So losing revenue does not mean we somehow can't find money. We did not get that revenue for the tuition.
Well, I think for me, the revenue piece is more, what are we getting from the state? You know, the fact that we have lost revenue contributions from various areas within the state, and I don't think that that's something that information is out there. I think folks take a look at the budget, see that the budget has gone up X percent, but is it our expenditures that have gone up by that amount, or has the budget gone up because we're getting less money? And I think that message has not been articulated, certainly by the budget committee. Maybe not by us either, but that is, I can remember, maybe it was Tom last year saying that the budget isn't just what you spend, it's what you take in.
And we've been trying to say for years that this is not a budgeting problem. You can go back and look at the budget over the last 5 years. I don't think we've increased the operating budget by more than 5 or 6% total.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, take a look at the operating line of the budget. You know, expenses have gone up fuel oil's gone up, electricity's gone up. You know, what's the increase?
State contributions to retirement. If the state funded retirement the way they did 5 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be getting those social workers, and we'd have additional staff.
Yep.
But because of this downshifting in cost.
Couple of different points. I think Pat's kind of summarized the feeling of the meeting spot on. I will say they mentioned time and time again the 10% proposed tax rate increase. I think we're all aware that that's, at this point, after 2, 3, 4 years of this, a 10% increase is a very funny number. And when you look at the total of the amount to raise the taxes, we're actually slightly below the number from, a few years ago. Just the school fees to be raised by taxes is $50,000 higher than it was in 2017. So I think it's important that we, publicly, that we kind of explain that math. Yes, a 10% increase is a large increase, but that comes after a large decrease last year. And I think that's going to be part of the thing here, is a lot of math to sort out, explaining to people what's gone on over the past few years, without opening the whole can of worms and trying to figure out who's to blame again. I think it's going to be an important piece of presenting it. Because I agree, I just don't see anything here that we can, as a school board, with the job of providing the best education that we can, I've been over it, I don't see the things. I mean, sure, we can probably find $5,000 here, $2,000 there, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna amount to anything, that's gonna be significantly taxing.
And possibly having the administration come and highlight the need, what we've been doing without, and trying to get back to where the school is performing a different path than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And you brought it to us these past few years, and to be able to maybe put a face on it with, real information versus coming through the school board, if they'd be willing to do that, might be helpful also. And then, again, $50,000 on the school side in 2 years, big deal. That's not gonna even impact the tax rate,
It doesn't even count for the increased cost of electricity
Right.
in these buildings, right?
So, I don't know what they don't see,
What they are seeing is 10%.
but it's not really 10%.
You and I know that.
How can they not?
They know.
So, I mean, we should all be uncomfortable with the number. That's the way it is, but there are certain needs that we have. And that's what, I was uncomfortable with the number. Fine. But we've been charged with providing a service to the community, to the children of this community, and now even to the families of this community. So you have to fund it now. We've all let it, we here, the state, the people on the budget committee have moved it to this point. So somehow we've got to make them understand that it's not just the schools doing it.
Another thing I would add, they suggested, in a few different angles, again, big efficiencies, like what can we do that's forward thinking? Things that were suggested were, we always complain about the bus contract, could we have our own buses, could we lease buses? Automated payroll, things like this, and I guess I would go on record as saying, I think some of those are really good ideas. I think what you need to keep in mind when you suggest things like that, though, is those are very big upfront costs. You don't do any major project, any major shift like that without taking the hit up front. If you're gonna buy buses and build a bus garage, that's gonna go in this budget, and for a few years, it's gonna make that budget astronomical. Does that mean we should never look at it? Absolutely not. If it can save us money in the long term, those are the types of things we should definitely be looking at. But to think that that's gonna lower this number, or next year's number, or the year after that, no, it's gonna make that number go up.
If I remember correctly, we looked at outsourcing payroll at one point and found out that it was not cost efficient and would have cost us more money. Perhaps folks need to be reminded of that that's already been looked at. We put out our contracts to bid, and what we get back is what we get back. It may be worth suggesting forming a committee of folks in town if they want to examine the bus issue. Somebody wants to look at committees similar to committees we've done before to see if it is cost effective for us to have our own bus system.
So what I'm generally hearing is no appetite for us to dig into this budget and make any additional cuts or ask anybody else to make any additional cuts to this budget. That is not at this point. No, I agree.
It's what it is. And we could present to them that buying our own buses and building our own garages would put our costs way through, not just
What do
the
you think
initial
school bus
thing.
costs?
Not even just that, the maintenance afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what.
Staff to maintain them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First
Josh, ready for a bus ride?
And we'd have to get Josh an assistant to do it.
Karen and I sat down and actually went student by student, so I'm pretty comfortable if the board is interested, we could probably cut, I think we came up with $145,000, that they were, you know, maybe, maybe not situations. If you're interested in doing that, we have the trust that we could use if we needed to. We've already had that discussion, so I just wanted to put it out there that she and I did the task. There, you know, we looked at out-of-district placements, and there's sort of, you know, well, okay, there might be one student headed there, we don't know about the other, so we take one out. Those are the kinds of what-if situations we're putting on the table.
Okay.
I'd be comfortable with that. I don't think it makes enough of a difference, and it could just mean that we put more reserves down the line. To that point, I have a question as still a fairly new board member. Do we have like a goal number for all of our reserves? Like, so we generally put in, when we got leftover money at the end of the year, with the warrant articles, we put money into those reserves and they build up, and they're kind of for emergencies or planned big projects. Like, do we have a line where we say, if we've got this much in there, we really can stop funding it for a little while?
So with the special ed trust, it's really been, you know, if we had one or two really high cost students, how much would it cost and could we cover that? But beginning last year, Josh did a great job, we did exactly that. We did a grid and we said, okay, what, you know, in the capital reserve, what would be a catastrophic cost that we would want to make sure we had, you know, $150,000 there at all times in case a roof went. And then above and beyond that, what's our 5-year plan? How do we fund that at the end of the 5 years? We add a little bit. So he did an awesome grid that we could show you, and that was presented to the NBC as well.
Awesome.
Others? I guess my feeling is we provided a budget based on what we believe are going to be our costs going forward. Unless something, you know, basic line of thinking has changed, I would hesitate to lean on our reserves at this point to help fund this budget. Those reserves are there for a reason. I mean, if one of these pops up, you got $100,000, now our reserves down to whatever it is. You have 2 kids moving, now we don't have enough money. That money is sitting there for an emergency if someone comes into the district, not to balance our budget. My feeling.
And I think aside from any other reserves, that would be, you know, building a capital reserve, transportation, whatever the reserve is, the special ed is different for that very reason, like you said. You can't use that one. I mean, you could take something out of the building reserves or one of the technology or something to help, but that one right there, leave everybody wide open, and we had to be having a special meeting at some point in time.
It's not robbing you of reserve funds, you're gonna kick the can down the road. Really all you're doing.
I'm looking on the reserve sheet in our budget book.
The trust fund?
No, revenue, sorry. On page 57, local revenue other than taxes. And tuition, AREA, non-AREA. If that number is accurate, that represents a significant amount of money that comes into the district because folks are willing to pay to send their students here.
That's both, it's both
So
area
it's our
and
area,
non-area.
Right.
and non-area.
Right.
Yep.
If our budget continues, or if our budget becomes compromised, and folks choose not to send their students here, that's a source of revenue that we could lose, either in whole or in part.
Well, no, some of that is AREA, so
Right,
some of that
but
is starting.
somebody could, you know, if a district decides to, you know, to break away from us.
And we had that conversation a few years ago.
We did.
Where, and we were kind of in that situation where the product we were putting on the table may not have been the best thing out there, and there were districts clamoring,
There were
talking
at
about
least two.
moving
Yes.
pull it out of the, area agreement, or at least, contemplate it.
And again, I think that that's something that we need to consider, that a quality product is necessary to not only attract folks to the community, but also to keep those who are paying tuition to come to our schools.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, I got my reassessment of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Mine went up about $50,000 from the last time we looked at it, and, yeah, I gotta pay a little more taxes because of that, but at the end of the day, I made $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main reasons for that is because of the quality of our schools. It's the reason I moved into this district. You know, my kids were low. You know, that's why we didn't move into some of the surrounding towns, because we thought Pembroke had the best product, for the price that we could afford.
That's a really important point to keep in perspective. I've been here just past 5 years that I bought my house. And the estimated value of my house has gone up over $65,000 in that time. That's every cent that I've ever paid in taxes and then some, that I can easily get back if I decide to sell it. And this is still a desirable place to live. I just like looking at houses for fun, and I was on Zillow yesterday, and I think I put in like between 200,000 and 500,000, and there's nothing here. There's nothing on the market. When houses come, people still buy them. This is still a desired town. 3 new families moved in just on my road this year. We're good or bad, and I don't like paying more taxes any more than the next guy, but the tax rate is not at the point where it's scaring people away from buying houses. It's just not.
The product that the town is providing, both on the town and on the school side, is attracting people to this community. And the taxes, people at least feel that the taxes are fair for the product that they're getting. And fair enough that it's still bringing people in, it's not scaring people away. So, you know, to bring our budget back to where it was in 2017, I don't think it's unreasonable, or will be viewed as unreasonable by the taxpayers of the town.
I think we need to keep in mind the cost per pupil. I think Andy and I talked about that too, that, you know, looking at the state average cost per pupil, and it is, you know, it's not like the state average is 14,500 or 15,000, and we're spending 19,000 per student. We're still, I think, under a little bit.
Just under.
Yeah, so.
We're always right around the state average, and usually under.
And yet, we're in the section of the state that is certainly much more expensive
Right.
than
And there was one, they said they were gonna be out.
Certain numbers are still 2 years behind. I can't remember which one I was looking at, but there's some numbers that, the latest one they have at the state of 2017.
It would be nice if the cost per pupil came out
They
before,
can't publish it until all the schools get their data in. So any time a school is late getting their state reports in, they don't have all the data to,
And I do have a lot of numbers that I've already, I've got spreadsheets all over the place with different ways to look at that. I think I've already said this, but I'll say it again. Against state average, against schools that are the same size as us as far as number of pupils, against towns the same size as us as far as total valuation. I've looked at it 4 out of 5 different ways, using numbers directly from DOE. In every single way, we fund our schools just slightly below average, no matter how you slice it.
I mean, I'd like to just say one other thing, if I may. I don't think I need to say to this board, but there was, it was insinuated that it would be the charge of the administration to keep the taxpayer in mind when you're building a budget, and I just feel like I need to go on the record to say that we always keep the taxpayer in mind and the community in mind. And, you know, I had my 20th anniversary this week of being in the community, so, you know, if we weren't keeping the taxpayer in mind, this budget would look very different. But we are just trying to restore, and I think our charge is to bring a budget to you that we think is reasonable and will help us to keep our schools going and maintain the services that we've provided, and certainly keep in mind costs and taxpayers. So I want you to know that is something that we certainly think about.
I know that there are folks on the budget committee who seem to believe or are stated that the budget is too high. I like their thinking the school board and the schools are not responsible for the gentrification of the community. I mean, people want to move here. That's, you know, we can't stop progress, and I don't think we should.
I mean, the community's changing. The community's changed since I've been here. I've been here about 15 years now. Community was more blue collar, I think, than it is today. More professionals have moved in. You know, with the growth of industry and things in the area, you know, people are commuting down to Nashville. They go working at BAE Systems in Nashville, commuting from here down to there because they like what we have to offer up in this region. And is it sad that people who've grown up here cannot afford to live here because of taxes? Yes, that's sad. I feel bad that people can't do that, but the town is changing. It's becoming more white collar, becoming more affluent, and we're seeing that in demands for services. I think overall this community has been demands from this board, from this community, that we continue to provide and increase the quality of education and services. I think that's where the community is right now.
You know, if I had to take a quarter, I could go to each of our towns and make that decision every single year, because anyone on a fixed income cannot afford increases in taxes, and because of the way the state of New Hampshire funds education, that's completely out of our control, and every community is suffering.
It also has to do with how Social Security is funded too, so that's the thing that everybody needs to keep in mind too, that I think I said at last school meeting is, if you really want to change some of these things, that happens with the ballot box, not just in Pembroke, not just for Pembroke offices, but for the state and from the federal level. If you're on a fixed income, I certainly feel for you as well, but you have to vote in a way that's going to help you get increases to your Social Security. That's another piece. Just like we were saying, it's not just what we spend at the schools, the revenues we take in. It's the same thing for the taxpayer. A couple of quick things that I noted down. One thing that, when I met with the School Board Association a while back regarding some of this stuff that they suggested is bringing the MBC in as early as possible. I don't know really what else we can do. I don't know if there's a way to prep them earlier with some numbers. I don't think they meet over the summer from what I can tell, and the School Board Association was pretty surprised by that. So I may sit down when the whole process wraps up with the MBC and just see if there's a way we can, you know, kind of get some of this front loaded a little bit more to help the process in the future. I don't know if it's possible, but I think it's worth asking. The other thing that I guess I'll just point out, it doesn't really have a ton of bearing on this, but I'm somewhat new to the MBC process, obviously from this side of the table. I find it a little bit frustrating. While I recognize that our budget is obviously by far the biggest piece of the overall town budget, I find it slightly interesting that, as far as I can tell, we are the only ones that are ever called back and questioned in that. The police department is putting out a budget that's over 8% increase. I believe they need every penny they're asking for, but I don't see on the agenda that the chief is scheduled to come back and defend his position, or the library, or anybody else for that matter. So I get it. I mean, we're the biggest piece of the pie, but it kind of doesn't seem like we're all playing the same game here.
You're not the first one to mention that. Okay, we're all good. Budget, I think we will reaffirm our position on the budget, that it is reasonable and will provide our students a continued quality education. It is. Okay, Pace.
Nothing new.
Nothing new?
I think we have a meeting towards the end of February.
Still innovation.
If I may, Mr. Foss is in attendance, so.
I came just for that. No, I haven't been here in a few meetings, so I don't remember when I updated you last. But we met beginning in October. We started with Josh and his world famous tour of the building. We have met with Susie. We took a couple meetings in December to plan, to create a survey that we sent to Hill staff members, because Susie is very generously given us her next staff meeting on Thursday, which we were hoping to have a small portion of time to speak. She has given us the whole hour with her staff to have a more in-depth discussion with them on the growing pains of merging two buildings and what they need to see, so that we can kind of compare and contrast that with what's already been provided. So we're meeting Wednesday to kind of just finalize our meeting prep. Thursday, we'll meet with the Hill staff. And then after that, we have discussed closer to town meeting, there's always kind of a surge in citizen interest around town meeting. So we're gonna hopefully try to capitalize on that and have a meeting where we can get some community members to actually come talk to us about what they feel they need from a building, understanding that these buildings get used pretty much around the clock for different things. So that we can get that perspective also. And I think I personally would like to see the group delve into some statistical data for the state. In the report from Dennis Myers, there was population projecting, and that's been 2 years now. We're going to be able to fill in a couple of years worth of actual data and maybe look at a little bit their sourcing for where they got those projections from to see if we can at least corroborate, you know, what they're looking at and where they, to help you guys sell whatever the final recommendation is, and it's assuming you guys agree with that recommendation, have some, not just the recommendation, but some supporting information to take that recommendation from.
Questions?
We have to have a meeting planning for parent feedback,
Yep.
different from the community.
What do you want, for parents, and then a community? Okay.
And people could go to either one, but.
So far, we've never had a community member drop into any of our meetings, so I don't know. We're just hoping that maybe the sudden interest that always comes around town and school district meeting might help us get some interest.
And there's usually opportunity, we can make sure that there is an opportunity for you to, someone from the committee to announce that this is going on, and maybe if you had a couple of dates picked out, maybe you know, put a flyer out front saying, you know, public input, parent input, whatever. Because, yeah, that's stuff we've done in the past, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think somebody on our committee threw out maybe seeing if we could get that put on the sign at some point when we're getting closer to
Yep,
that.
absolutely.
Just from a visibility standpoint.
So, yeah, if you're looking after town meeting, which would probably make sense, yeah, I think getting it out of town meeting, little flyer, at least people will be advertised.
We'll see.
So, sounds good.
I just want to add one thing to make everybody aware. We did submit our letter of intent to apply for the lead. It was due January 1st. And then we were advised by the state that we want to get your name in the queue, sort of. So the actual more information, more in-depth information will be due in June. So we may or may not have a lot to give, but at least we're kind of in line. So if we're not ready when the money's released, we go to the back, and we're in line for when more funds are, hopefully more funds keep being released.
Do you think you guys will have a sense of what you'd like to recommend by June? Well, I would say.
I would hope so by, I would hope by June. We definitely weren't looking at having anything to you for March of this year, because
Right, no, I don't think we.
knowing it's a contract year, we were not going to rush getting something.
This year, we're expecting to do anything this year either.
You know, knowing that information is helpful too, though, so that gives us a target where we didn't really have one before.
But those discussions need to start.
Yeah, I don't know what the level of detail is that they'll ask for, in June, but yeah, that's our whole thing.
I will just say that at the early stages of the conversations we've had, there does seem to be a number of things that the school feels they need in their building for different types of spaces that don't seem to be on the design that was proposed to you by Dennis Myers or Dennis M. Myers. So I do feel like any recommendation from us may involve you guys regrouping with them to find out how they can incorporate that information for form. Because particularly right now, there was not really anything addressing the need for office space in the building. There are a number of people right now who have taken up office space in storage areas, and that design that was proposed just didn't really address that part of it. There's plenty of classroom space, and it addressed the gymnasium potentially on their radar.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We should see a couple of things that weren't anticipated. Yeah. Okay. Everyone good for that? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, principal's report. Who wants to go first?
We've done it in the past, but, Southern New Hampshire University will be doing a methods class in our building again. They bring, 1,000 or so, students, and it will be Tuesdays, they stay the whole day. And for 2 blocks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, their students go and observe our classes, maybe get some hands-on work with some, teachers. And we'll, try to make it collaborative, so we can really try to, do some staff development with the school. Good opportunities for them to be in our building and for our students to see and our staff to see, working with, quantities, but also working with professors at schools to work on different types of, staff development. The 15th, we have our, one of our band concerts coming up. We typically don't do it in the holiday season because it's just somewhat on the busy side. So December 15th, we have our first concert. We also, to address something that came up from the audience, we are in our second year, I'd say our second formal year, I should say, social emotional program that we're using. So currently, 5th grade is getting the 5th grade curriculum from part of the curriculum from Choose Love. And the rest of the building, 6, 7, and 8, is getting the 6th grade. And the next year, we will, by 6 will get theirs, and 7, because what we found was 8th grade, we started talking to them about the 8th grade curriculum, and looked at us like, what are you talking about? So we had to kind of build that up. The overall goal, though, the challenge I put out to staff this year was to incorporate into our everyday. It really cannot be a standalone. It's kind of a standalone now. We're trying to integrate it into how we teach, how we interact with students on a regular basis. Because that, in the end, is what we want. We want it to become our culture. If you remember, I talked about how we changed our behavior report, and so our core values are on that now. So when we talk with students who may not have made a great decision, we talk about those core values of respect and things of that nature, instead of, what did you do with your bad kid and go away. So we're really trying to have that conversation about decision making. But the overall goal is to incorporate it into our everyday conversations with students, not just a standalone project or curriculum. We're getting there. It's a process.
Questions for John? Yeah.
So we're back underway after break, and we had a full day of professional development for folks in our Innovation Academy program. Staff members working with ERC, who's helping to guide us through what would be a pilot year next year for those staff members. So that was really encouraging to see the work being done. I spent about half a day with them. I was hoping he'd still be here when it got around to me, but I wanted to take a minute to applaud Ryan. We're well underway in winter sports, but it should not go unrecognized that Ryan ranks 6th in all of the state in passing yards for all 4 divisions, for all schools, all quarterbacks. Just to give you an idea of what that means, there's roughly 70 schools, and if they only use 1 quarterback all year, that means he's in the top 10% passing yards over 1,300 yards. So for a Pembroke football player to get that kind of statistical achievement is indicative of his work ethic, his leadership on the team, and I know Coach Mower is growing the program exponentially every year in terms of performance. The roster turnout this year was higher than it's been in quite a few years, so, but Ryan is a testament to, as you can see here, he delivers when he shows up, so he did that on the football field as well. And, we're looking forward to Winter Carnival coming up, and you can already feel the buzz in the building of trying to select the perfect theme and the perfect sub-themes to go with it, so I'm just hoping everything is school appropriate and roll on into February.
Question from all?
Please congratulate.
I will.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I was hoping to embarrass him a little bit.
It's quite an honor.
Okay. Move on to 4B, 2021 warrant article.
These went in, late this afternoon, so we have.
So what level do we need to make decisions this evening on that?
The MEC is
Yeah.
hoping to take action on Thursday night to get them out of the way and then complete the budget.
Okay.
It's obviously up to you, but they were pretty anxious to be able to do this on Thursday.
Have you given another stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Well, see,
We got next one.
I got it.
So, what we did, we put obviously the first one is the budget. Josh submitted some suggestions for his, areas that he would like to add for capital reserve, and then we added in the contract. We left 10,000 in the technology just because it was already on there. Certainly don't have to fund that unless you want to. I know last time was 37.5 that Josh put in for, and Josh approved, so I don't think there's anything. The two outstanding questions we have right now are the Grange building and the Pembroke Road property. And if there's any interest in the board, I would need to get language from our attorney. If you want to put something on.
Can I attack number 3 first? So we're looking at 132.5 out, coming out of that account,
In the building capital reserve.
okay? And then,
That would be funding it. So that wouldn't necessarily all be coming out, but to fund what we have on the capital improvement plan in that section would be 132.5.
right now, work for me a little bit more here. So, you've got 132,000 worth of work,
No,
capital work.
no, so what I would do is, a certain amount of that funding would be replacement flooring,
Yep.
exterior painting.
Right.
And so that those projects would be done this summer.
Right.
The rest of it is funding per our new capital improvement plan of last year, of putting certain funds away for our ADA upgrades that we know we have coming up, for some gas-fired heating units, for some hot water heaters and dishwashers, for some firelight safety items, and for some hoods.
Did you know how much, so out of this 132, some of this is going in the bank.
Yes,
How much, do you have a breakout? Or?
yeah, so that would be 102.5 would be going in the bank.
Okay. So, got it, thank you.
30 would be that.
So we are actually, which we had talked about for several years, we're pre-funding
Okay.
our capital reserve account, which is something we have not done before, so I'm sure we get questioned on that.
This sounds to me like we're taking 132.5 out of the building capital
Yeah, it
reserve.
is weirdly worded.
Yeah, I don't.
So I think,
Yeah.
if I may, if you go to down to 5, to raise and appropriate sum of 35 to be added to the school's capital reserve fund from unassigned fund balances. So did that get, should
Yeah,
this
I
one
don't-
read 35 and then the last one read 102.5?
I don't think this is
Yeah, it's gonna,
reported correctly.
it's gonna have to be repaid, so I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to appropriate the 102.5 for building capital, and then we're
Put it
gonna,
in.
then we're gonna have to, on a separate article, put in the 35 out of surplus, essentially what that is.
Mhm.
So there'll have to be two articles putting money in.
No, Josh, if you need 35 grand.
I need 30.
You need 30.
30 grand, okay, but you've got 35, you 102.5, so 30, okay, sorry. So 30 grand. So the top one, if you need 30 grand to come out of the building capital reserve, that's what top number 3 should read.
Right.
To raise and appropriate 30,000 from the building capital reserve fund. And the bottom one, if you wanna add 102.5 to it, then number 5 should read to raise 102,500 to be added to the school building capital reserve from unassigned fund balance.
Right, what they're asking for is for us to appropriate, instead of taking it out of surplus, what this 102.5 is being asked for is to actually raise it from tax and stick it in the bank. So this is what the town does.
That's, you're right.
That's what the town is historically
But
done.
I guess that's what I'm thinking of down here.
You're gonna have to have two articles, one from surplus, one from,
Right, so
tax.
there are two different sources. One is gonna come from taxation, the other is gonna come from what may be left over on June 30th. If there's no money left over on
Okay, all right.
June 30th, that doesn't get funded,
Yeah,
but the 100,000 remaining.
so this one, so we basically.
This one is gonna get funded, if this passes, it gets funded no matter what.
So, yeah, so three, should be like a 3A, and 5.
Yeah, so let's, while Josh is here, let's
3,
be
4, 5.
clear.
3, 4,
Number
5, right,
three.
3, 4, 6,
Is raising and appropriating out of the capital reserve fund. So how much should we be taking out of the capital reserve fund?
To spend next year,
Okay,
$30,000.
that's where the three. And then,
But with the conception that if something was to fail, this is why we would be asking to put the 102 in.
Right.
So I could come to you and say, the boiler failed, we've been putting away for it.
Right.
so you're raising.
We need to buy a new fire truck. We're putting away for a new fire truck. We know eventually we need to buy a new fire truck. Same theory applies here. We know we need a new boiler, we're putting away for it. Same theory.
Hopefully we can get a boiler faster than a fire truck.
So,
They're concerned, they ordered
2 years.
since like a year and a half to get a police cruiser.
all right, so we are raising and appropriating out of the capital reserve $30,000, and you are proposing to raise and appropriate 102.5 to go into the capital reserve.
Yes.
So it's not surplus, it's
It is.
raise and appropriate.
Raise and appropriate.
Okay. And so make sure we get it
And
right.
if people are really feeling brave, we can put that 35 in as well, and say we're gonna raise and appropriate 137.5. And then if we have surplus, it goes back and it just offsets the tax rate. If there's no surplus, we still get the 137.5. What, yeah, you know.
The fact that they asked us to do that, I don't think,
Oh,
I'd like to bite to the apple.
Right, back to that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
I just
Keep
worry.
those separate, yeah. You
I'm
might
good.
get one or the other.
I'm good. That's fine.
okay, so then we're saying we're also gonna use the
35
35,000
surplus.
from surplus.
Because I think
So-
Josh has justifications for both.
Well, each one of the three funds could be justified the same way you just justified the first one.
Absolutely.
So this one, the 35, I would ask for 10,000 of that and ask to put 25 away.
Okay, that's different.
You just lost me again, Joe.
So part of that, improvement reserve would be our paving, which we all know we need improvement on, and we need to start funding it to be able to tackle it.
Oh, yeah, that's not even on here. On this sheet.
No, so for that
You're
one.
right, I'm with you, Josh.
Now, you with me?
I'm with you, we'll have to get there.
So, start over. You're asking for $35,000.
Yeah.
How much is being deposited?
25,000,
Okay. And how much do you want?
10,000.
But this is, I know.
Yeah, and just let's leave it.
So we were thinking of 3 and 5 together before. I think what he's saying is we need to break 3 out into a couple pieces, and then 5 is a whole separate thing that we need to break out into a couple pieces.
That 102 isn't all going in the same spot.
The 102 is going in the building capital, the 35, or the 25 should be in the school site improvement.
Where's the 20, where's the 25?
Yeah.
That would be that 35 we just talked about, sorry.
Yeah, the school site improvement, that one.
Oh, it's not
I think
mentioned at
that's,
all.
I think that's what we're getting,
The
these are
school
separate
building,
funds.
yeah.
We don't have that. Oh, we
They're
have,
both listed under the school building capital reserve.
I'm very glad I showed up.
I have.
me too.
So the 35 is all out of site improvement?
Yes.
Okay, so this
That's just the, okay, so we can edit that to the site improvement
is going to site improvement.
on number 5. So tomorrow morning, Josh, when you come up, could we go through this and make sure?
Yeah,
we have it
would
right?
you like to go through the equipment capital reserve,
Yeah.
which is we'll go over it again tomorrow, but do it right now.
Sure.
So that's 37.5 total. I would be asking for 15 of it to spend, and the 23.5 to deposit.
Go back to asking the same stupid question I asked earlier. Everything else here we've now asked for out of, to raise and appropriate the money from site improvement funds. We need to, on our mind, to just raise and appropriate.
Yeah.
So we're not asking for any money out of reserve this year, out of surplus.
Yeah, this one is unfunded fund balance.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Because you're always raising and appropriating, it's just where you're
Anyways.
getting it from, yeah.
So, are we gonna get this money from surplus, or are we gonna get this money from tax? That's kind of the decision we need to make.
My
To
understanding
be added to, which one are we on right now?
the way it's written, the way I'm reading it, the only one we're asking for out of taxes is number three.
You're right.
Everything else is fund balance.
Yep,
And
you're
if
right.
it's fund balance, do we need approval from the budget committee?
Well, they always opine on it.
They do.
They do. They
Even
always
though
have.
it does not affect.
Because we're still, it's still being
Because
taken
it's
out
still
of fund
technically
balance.
effective,
instead of
because we could be
Effective
getting that
tax.
money back.
Effective
So
tax.
I'm afraid that
We have to do that.
yeah, this got done late this afternoon, and Josh and I really should sit down and go over it, and I can get those edits to Kathy, because we need to be clear on, I mean, the capital reserve, we're typically, we want to, because we're not able to expend, we have to ask to withdraw money from it, and then we always replenish at one time, so those have to be split up. And I'll make sure that it's correct, and I meet with Josh tomorrow. But you can conceptually talk about what he's asking, and see if you're in agreement.
I was gonna say, can we vote on that anyhow, just to give the budget committee the information that they need?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna go draft anyway,
Right.
so it's gonna go back right now. Has to go back.
Yeah, you could, I mean, that's, you could make the decision tonight, and that way they would have something.
Right.
All right, so conceptually, number three, we're gonna break out the 132.5, we're gonna break it out. $30,000 to actually do work this upcoming year. They're gonna break out 102.5 to be raised from taxes
Raise from tax.
and put into the school building reserve fund. Correct? We're on the same page? We're all good with that? We'll skip 4 for now. Then we're gonna ask for 35,000 to be added to the site improvement fund to be raised from surplus. So, maybe I didn't know I said all of them, it's 10 grand for technology expendable trust, that's been pretty standard every year, again, for surplus. Then number 6, we're gonna have to break out, Josh wants to spend, or somebody wants to spend 15,000 for out of the equipment installation and labor expendable trust funds. And we're gonna put 23,500 into this fund from surplus.
22.
I'm sorry.
23.5.
No, it doesn't.
No,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, Josh. 25.
I tried.
Well, I totally did me, come up with that.
Did you wanna just give 20?
So, the way, so if you're able to spend on this one, you just need to deposit, and you can take out whatever you
Whatever we
want.
want.
So you're only depositing 22.5? The 15K that you're spending is coming out of that balance, right?
However,
Most do it, right?
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
You know what I mean? You can take out money whatever you want at any time, really, because the amount we need is how much you're gonna put into it. Because you're able to expend on that.
And that's actually number 70 of 26,
Yeah.
I think.
the beginning of the second page of the numbers there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Number 4 is the teacher contract. Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before we dig in, I have a question about number 4.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it postage your fee?
No.
Guessing not?
What happens when you do a draft at 4:30 in the afternoon? before Kathy.
You're copying and pasting.
She did.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna go over here, can you just confirm these numbers?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, yeah, they are. They
Can we
are.
just confirm them?
They absolutely are. I gave them to her this afternoon.
Okay.
It's just the year of cut and paste. Yes. The numbers.
And a language question. Is it Education Association of Pembroke, not Pembroke Teachers Association?
Yes.
People good with that? I move on. Two other pieces of work. We've got a Grange building. We've discussed selling. I have not heard back from the budget, board of selectmen. I will reach out to them again, see if they wanted the building. I don't think that necessarily is gonna affect what we do here, because we can put a warrant article on here to sell the building. I sell it to the town, sell it outright, or not sell it at all.
Why don't we do that?
I guess that's what I was gonna
We
recommend.
should be doing that. We should not be holding it up,
No, should not hold property,
not if we can put it on the tax roll.
not historical property. Town like it for historical purposes, the town should take it over for historical purposes.
Exactly.
I've been beating that drum for
And
Couple
it
of years
looks like
now.
we have all the documentation to indicate that maybe it's an old and wonderful building,
But
but
it's
not.
not historical property.
Not historically relevant.
Same wording as the
As
village
the
school.
village school, I
Probably,
think
yeah.
so.
I'll draft it up,
Draft
have
it up.
Kathy draft it up and send it to
Doesn't
me.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, the other piece is the parcel of land off of Landry Drive, whether or not we wanna put an article in to purchase it.
My opinion, that's short money.
No brainer, but
An adjacent piece of property, the property we already own that could possibly be used for a bus garage or something like that in the future.
quite enough today. How many acres was it?
What's
How
that?
many acres was it?
Maybe 15.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow,
It was short one.
that's, yeah.
Let the townspeople decide what they wanna do. I think it's incumbent on us to at least give them the option. $100,000, 15
For
acres.
15 acres,
And we keep somebody from building any houses
Right.
on there, like.
think about the house.
They don't have the frontage currently, but
Ah,
yeah.
ah,
I say we
Come on.
put it in as a
Just
warrant
as
article
you
to
said,
raise
you should
appropriate,
Whole property.
$99,000, whatever it is.
I'll see if we can
We can
do it
move
without
it.
an amount so that you can negotiate the price
Document
with
fee,
the, yeah.
$99,000.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Anything else that we need to put on here?
Not that I'm aware of.
This shouldn't take more than 6 or 7 hours.
Right.
Yes, sir?
So are you okay with us letting the, MPC look at this and so do you wanna vote January 23rd in a better format?
Mhm.
And
I
let
don't
them
wanna
vote
vote on
on
it
Thursday,
today.
at least they
We'll give it to them draft.
start on Thursday.
Yep, some drafts. But we need to put together some information that is a possible property.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That they're gonna, what the heck is this? Okay, anything else, more items? We
I will
good?
say that they are aware of that.
They are?
I will, well, not that we are taking action, but I believe the same offer that was sent our way was sent to town way as well, to, get it out there for.
We wouldn't allow the town to do that.
Well, we could have allowed the water department to build it, because they're looking for a home.
Sure.
Sewer, I mean, yeah,
15
sorry.
acre home.
Oh,
Get that
no.
spot up there. Make a profit on it. Just
Uh-huh.
come up with the building lots. Developer.
Fund the addition.
Yeah.
All right, policy review.
All right, so,
Do any of these, or?
yes, I do.
All right, awesome.
You should.
Yeah, she always wants to do
Nobody
something with the.
We did a bunch last
We
time.
did,
Yeah,
without
I
you.
was so impressed. So the piece of information that Amber does not have, when you talked about the purchasing policy, I was not revising that, I was just editing the last page because you adopted the manifest policy. So that was part of this, so the only proposal was to delete the last page. So if you could
Okay.
take the time to take care of that, that would be great. So it's DJB deleting the last page.
Make a motion to approve DJB as amended.
Good. Second. Any other questions? All in favor?
I had given you several meetings ago. There was quite the back and forth and quite the legal review. We had a suggestion from Dean, and then we had a proposal from April, and then Dean responded to April's suggestion. So I think the decision is really, did you want Dean's initial recommendation, or did you want Dean's response to the additions that April?
I make a motion that we approve the initial proposal by our attorney.
Second? Discussion?
I went through it a while ago, and there were a number of concerns that I have had about the three proposed changes. I'm much more comfortable having read the attorney ever provided.
I read it some time ago, same thing, and I had no major concerns with what our attorney provided, but I had substantial concerns with what was edited. Keep on that. Gene, you okay?
Yeah, it doesn't read very well right here to begin with. The first paragraph in red. Also, school board meetings are public meetings, as such they provide an excellent opportunity to observe at firsthand the board's deliberations on problems with staff, concern, period, matters, and issues, interest to.
Sometimes the edits or
I think
so.
those are the edits.
The current state, also, the first thing that you said, beginning of that paragraph, also public meetings. The end of the previous paragraph says staff members are also invited to public meetings or meetings. The revisions have made it kludgy, and I don't think they've added anything terribly significant.
No.
Do you want to read what that first paragraph is? This is the original.
Yeah.
The original confusion reads, all communications or reports to the board or any board committee from principals, supervisors, teachers, or other staff members shall be submitted through the superintendent. Staff members are also reminded that board meetings are public meetings. As such, they provide an excellent opportunity to observe at first hand the board's deliberation on matters and issues of interest to staff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
question.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
That was a long time.
Fabulous. You know I'm gonna put more on once we proceed.
Do you want to approve this one too? Yeah.
If you're ready.
I'm good with that.
Someone make a motion? Student discipline and due process.
It's up JICD as written.
Second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Happens second.
Good.
Oh, I thought you did.
And suicide prevention on first reading.
That's a new,
Get that up.
a new policy that just came out, and you'll certainly familiarize yourself with that.
All right, anything else? Oh, okay. Awesome. Informational items?
We have, before we started looking for volunteers, I wanted to make sure you're aware that on April 11th, the PD and other town organizations will be doing the active shooter drill here. So as you probably remember, we did last year, we did sort of a mini version of that without live volunteers, it's just cards placed around the building. But now they're looking to do a full-scale drill where volunteers will actually be used and be placed as
severity of the injury, what have you. I thought the ground went really well. I think that we're prepared, but they really wanted to use that as a sort of just the police and ambulance internal, getting into the building and running through, and now it's more full scale, Saturday. So we'll be putting out capacity for some volunteers too. I think we need like 80, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, no, it's not cool, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's a drill for them to run through to make sure that in the event that there was an active shooter, they could all respond and know our building and process and, yeah.
Thank you, 'cause I'm
I saw your
thinking,
face.
well,
Wow, why are you upset about that?
well, because April
You
is
thought-
historically when there have been so many mass shootings, and I'm thinking, we're gonna simulate a mass
No.
shooting in our schools with our kids
No.
in a month when so many of those have taken place.
South
But
Carolina,
this
which
is
said
different,
volunteers.
yeah, volunteering.
Training for
I don't know,
the safety personnel.
I'm not sure the date, but I do know another local district similar to ours is doing full-scale school day. Kids will be evacuated, there will be meet points for,
In
like,
April.
I don't know, for, between now and the end of the
Yeah.
year, I don't know if it's.
And I mean, we've done it at our school too, but
With kids in the building? With kids in the building?
active shooters, yeah.
After active shooting drills for kids in the building. I'm not sure I'm there yet.
Just a quick note, though, even though this is on a Saturday, and there's not students around, this is certainly going to take some level of planning and organization from our employees, as well as police employees and other community members, and I think it's a good time to point out, these people are being, some volunteers, there are people that are going to be paid to do this on their work time. These are expenses that we did not have 20 years ago. These are things, why the budget goes up, this is what we always talk about. Our teachers, our principals, our administrators are not just what they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. We are worried about and spending our time on things that people couldn't even fathom in the 70s.
And I'd be willing to bet that a lot of people that are gonna be working on 11 are not gonna get paid for it.
That's right.
Because I know, Paul, I know that you're on salary and all, Paul, and I'm sure that you're not gonna complain about this, but this is probably not in your contract.
Other duties as assigned.
Nothing
But
to
not-
be said, it's
I
right
have
word.
their job descriptions, they're all written.
You too?
That last line.
But, no,
Me too, I was
that's me.
Yeah.
There are people involved here, we're not.
They're not paid.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of volunteers will end up being
Teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But there will be other folks who are,
sure,
and they will be paid by the time.
absolutely. Okay, anything else, information?
The para-professional election for, joining the union or not, is this Thursday, the 9th, this Thursday. So they'll be having an election, the PDLRB conducts the election, they come and they set up the polling. We have one observer, and that will be, Colleen Roche, our HR director, and they will have one observer, and that's Jason, their, research director. It's really just to make sure everything is done correctly, and that ICs are checked, and only people on the voter list are voting. So I'm not sure, they come to ballots that day, so I think we'll know at the end of that day.
The 9th?
The 9th.
Who would they, vote into grade? Any?
There's a question from a board member asking if we had ever looked at, self-funded insurance. Excuse me, so Amber did reach out to our company, and actually, we are considered self-insured the way our, risk pool works. So our money does all go into a pool, and the members of that pool use that money to pay claims. So it is considered self-funded, and we had a meeting with our provider to go over our increases because they were a bit higher than we expected, and wanted to make sure that people know that it was not because the company is a for-profit and decided to raise rates, it's based on your claims. So it's a risk pool, it's based on our claims, we had more use of policies, unfortunately for illness over the last year, and that's what drove our risk up. Okay,
good? Sure, go ahead.
Sort of back to budget committee, I can't remember if I have an official alternate for budget committee.
You do.
So guess who's going Thursday night?
No,
I'm not here.
I'm good this Thursday, but next Wednesday I'm having surgery and I probably won't be able to attend next Thursday. Is that possible for you?
Oh, sure.
Appreciate it. I may be there, but I'm not.
How many meetings do they have scheduled for us? We got it coming towards the end.
Yeah, so we have the next 2 weeks are us, and then I think there's a week off, and then public hearing is February sixth, rings a bell? Yes, February sixth is public hearing.
Mhm.
And I think those are the only definite, well,
So that'd
there's
be,
2 other meetings, February 11th and March 3rd, and I think we're on those agendas as we need to be at that point, but.
so they will be deliberating probably that week that you're gonna be in charge. As far as the calendar goes, the one they start, we go deliberating next week.
I was gonna say, and sometimes they deliberate earlier, if they know
But they did
where
say
we
next,
are.
yeah, I think next week, I know the first thing they plan to do, as mentioned before, is get the warrant articles off the table.
Off
for
the
the
budget, yeah.
Right, so I wouldn't expect them to tackle budget, but then again, with us coming in and saying, we're sticking to our guns on this, maybe they don't have a lot more to talk about, I don't know.
It seems like they also thought that they were gonna be able to get the municipal budget very quickly,
Right.
so they'll probably take care of that same time they do the warrant. Which we believe is following week for school.
Have they asked about the beach conference?
No, that's gonna be on this warrant.
Yeah, and it was brought up, and yeah, we made sure they knew it was in the binder. They said they had seen it, but there really wasn't any discussion about it.
And it was pointed out that it was there.
Yeah, because they just haven't seen the number on the warrant.
They
had all the
I knew it was in there.
Yeah.
I think costs are in there, but,
Oh, they were.
I believe costs are in there.
The number's there, I
I believe.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they were, we didn't get a warrant, but they're in.
It's not specifically on a warrant, but it's just costs are in there. So, okay, they have it, okay, good. Anything else information? Anybody else? Okay. Public comments, anyone have anything to say? Like to speak? Yes, sir.
Just real quick, I'm glad that Paul brought up the young man that representing student clinic. Because I did want to just mention that I am very impressed with how articulate he is too on the speak.
Very well spoken.
So I'm glad, please pass along my compliments also to him because it's a very impressive performance that he brings for students to this meeting, and I appreciate that. I did also just want to say that I appreciate everything you guys are saying now about, the budget process. It's kind of refreshing to see a upfront acknowledgement at the seeming assault that you guys seem to take every year compared to other people or other entities within the community. It's pretty frustrating to see a group of people on that board, who dominate that board, who just clearly have an anti-education agenda and unfortunately have no check really on that committee until it gets to town meeting and people turn out. But year after year, 10 years ago, they were saying we can't support education with the economy is bad. Those are the same people with the political affiliation saying the economy is better than it's ever been, but they're still saying we can't support anything. So it's just refreshing to see the vocal acknowledgement now and not just the behind-the-scenes acknowledgement of that assault. And I hope you guys really continue to fight the fight. Just when you're getting into the CIP discussion tomorrow, please just make sure that you're looking at the next 5 years out and that the numbers that you're appropriating take into account the numbers that you need to spend over the next 5 years, and so that you're keeping that intact, more flatline and stable. I will just say the advantage to raising and appropriating from taxation versus surplus is it puts more onus on the town. So if you find yourself in a decade with a building that needs the kind of work that Village has, you can get up there and say, we've been asking to put that money away, and you guys said no. You guys are the reason that we are in that position, whereas, hoping you have it from surplus, it may or may not materialize, even if you have the permission to put it there. You you could still find yourself in a position like we did with Village, like you own it, nobody else. So there's additional benefit to funding it that way. That's all, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? No? Okay. We have each going to our public session, New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2C. On roll call vote, Gene?
Yes.
Pat? Yes. Andy? Jack?